let's take a few minutes and look at the information regarding the artifact narrative presentation assignment. So, in this assignment, you are going to think about artifacts that represent your life. And so, when you think of the word artifact, you think of an object. It's a possession. It could be a photo, it could be a piece of jewelry, something that represents your life. So, let's look at what's required with this presentation. This presentation is similar in the influences where it gives you an opportunity to reflect on the things that are important to you and that you feel represent you. So the objective is to measure your ability to observe time limits, to develop poise in a public presentation, to once again deliver using extemporaneous style of delivery. So like we've discussed in previous videos, that style of delivery allows you to use note cards to kind of use as reminders of what you're going to say, but you don't read anything word for word. You practice so that you're comfortable with the material, you're familiar with what you want to say, and you have notes to cue and remind you if needed. You're going to practice the speech organization, such as an introduction, the body of the speech, and a conclusion, and use transitions or connectives throughout the presentation. You're going to practice your oral language effective delivery, meaning think about your pace, think about how fast you're speaking or how slow you're speaking. Think about your vocal fluency. Are your thoughts coming to you quickly? Are you using a lot of filler words such as and because you're unsure of what you plan to say? Think about your volume. Does your voice indicate that you're timid and unsure of what you plan to say? Or are you speaking confidently? This is also measuring your ability to incorporate visual aids into your presentation. So, presenting the speech, all presentation in this course are extemporaneous. This again goes into detail about what that means. And the purpose of this speech provides the presenter the opportunity to share a narrative about artifacts that represent their lives. So, when you think about a narrative, you're thinking about a story, a spoken or written account about it. So, the speaker should choose 3 artifacts, 3 objects that are of symbolic importance to you. You will show these 3 objects when it's appropriate throughout your speech. So the artifact narrative presentation requires you to use 3 objects. The items should have personal significance, and you will tell us how that object has significance. You can use the actual object, or you can use a slideshow with the pictures of the objects. An artifact is an object made by human, typically of cultural or historical importance. A narrative is a spoken or written account of recorded events or stories. So the speaker should focus on the following. Why is this artifact important? How did you come to get that artifact? And what's the significance of the artifact? So visual aids, once again, are required. In this assignment, you're required to have a formal outline, as always. The visual aids, it can be a PowerPoint, Prezi, or slideshow where you can actually show the artifacts discussed. And your time is 4 to 8 minutes. Again, the audience requirement is the same for all presentations. This tells you the organization. You'll have the same structure to your introduction, same structure to your conclusion. And visual aids are essential in this. By saying a visual aid, stock photos are not acceptable unless you are talking about your future and it's not something that you have yet, and then you can use a stock photo. But I'm expecting to see the actual object or a picture of the actual object. But if you just use stock photos, that's not acceptable. Don't ever pass your objects around for your audience to see. This is a distraction. So there's 2 ways that you can approach this. One is to talk about an object. One is past, present, future. Your first point, main point, you'd have the introduction. First main point would be an object to represent your past. The second main point, object to represent your present. And third is object to represent your future. Or you could just talk about you and say, these are 3 artifacts or objects that represent me in some way. So you might have your first point to be this object represents my religion or my heritage or culture. This one represents my hobbies or talent. This one represents my family. You can take either approach with this assignment. The bottom line is you'll have 3 main points in addition to your intro and conclusion, and you'll have an artifact or an object that you will show your audience for each of those main points. You should choose your items based on what you want your audience to know about you. Below is a sample outline to kind of show you what your structure might look like, and you'll fill in the blanks. So I kind of give you a sample skeleton for the past, present, future, and then I give you a sample skeleton for the one that represents you, if that gives you a better idea. So let's go back. And let's look here. I provided a sample outline for you. And this is a sample outline that talks about objects that represent me. This gives you an idea of the amount of detail required. On this sample, I used past, present, and future. And so this kind of can tell you what your outline should look like on that. And then again, I give a sample visual aid. So I did a PowerPoint so that I could show you. And then the PowerPoint just has pictures of the objects, past, present, and future for you. So that gives you an idea of what we're looking for. So if I'm going to tell you a few pitfalls that students have when doing this speech, it would be 1, they don't use visual aids. Students just talk about objects but never show them. The second pitfall is that the student describes the object but doesn't tell us a narrative. So keep in mind, this requires for you to tell a narrative about it. You're telling a story about it. So you're not just saying, I'm showing you my Bible's dark green, it's a big heavy book. You're not just doing that. You're saying, I remember the day that my parents presented me with this Bible. It was Christmas. I was 10 years old. This was significant to me because. So you're telling us a narrative and a story about why that object is important to you. So that could be like why is it important? It may just be important because of who gave it to you. Sometimes the important things to us are maybe a dollar stuffed animal that has no monetary value in the world, but it has a lot of value to us because of who gave it to us and sometimes why they gave it to us. So those are the big mistakes students use, or they they don't use visual aids, and they don't truly share a narrative. So that's why you may see this is a little longer speech than your influences. It's a 4 to 8 minute speech. You're going to tell us a story about each one of these objects. So I hope this video gives you a better idea of this assignment. This is an interesting assignment to me, and it gives you an opportunity to kind of think about what's important and what represents you in your life. Again, it doesn't require research. This isn't research-based. This is just about you. So I look forward to seeing what objects demonstrate significance to you.